let's transition to the NFL and let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. As Aaron Rodgers earlier this week, he went on the Aubrey Marcus podcast and he was talking about his darkness retreat that he engaged in last week. And there was a couple quotes from the Aubrey Marcus podcast that Aaron Rodgers had. I want to read some of these quotes. Aaron Rodgers says, quote, "This is my life. It's important to me. I'll make a decision soon enough." That's regarding whether or not he's going to play football this year. And he says there's a finality to the decision. He also said at one point in the podcast that it's his life. If people are in the media don't really want to hear him talk about whether or not he's going to play and talk about the darkness retreat, then they can just tune it out. He said that as well. So everyone knows on the show who watches Wise Guys, who watches my show on a consistent basis, everyone knows that I am a diehard Packers fan. And I've been a Packers fan since I started watching football. This is nothing new. This is not some bandwagon that I just jumped on. No, I've been a Packers fan since I was 3 years old, since I even knew what football was. And immediately, once my mom knew that I was a Packers fan, she bought me Packers trash cans, bought me Packers toothbrushes, Packer towels, Packer covers and blankets. And I was the biggest Brett Favre fan in the world. And I love the green and gold. Been loving the Packers ever since I was 3 years old. Been a diehard Packers fan. And, once I became a young adult, I watched Aaron Rodgers for many, many years in Green Bay. And all I've ever knew was Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as the quarterbacks of the Green Bay Packers. That's all I've ever known. But I have basically came to terms with accepting the fact that it's time for the Green Bay Packers to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I believe that Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. The man is a 4-time NFL MVP. The man has the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. The man won a Super Bowl back in 2010. He won Super Bowl MVP for the Packers. And he is one of the most efficient quarterbacks of all time. But I am at a crossroads, and I have reached a point where I have reached my breaking point with Aaron Rodgers. And I am okay with the Green Bay Packers moving on from the great Aaron Rodgers. And it took me a long time to get to this point, but I am finally ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. You look at what Aaron Rodgers was able to do this year. He had one of his worst seasons statistically. This year, he had 26 touchdowns. That was ranked 7th in the NFL. 12 interceptions. That was tied for 24th in the NFL. He averaged 217 passing yards per game. That was ranked 11th in the NFL. He averaged 6.8 passing yards per attempt, which was ranked 23rd in the NFL. And he completed 65% of his passes. That was ranked 20th in the NFL. This past season was one of Aaron Rodgers' worst statistical seasons in his career. And the main reason why Aaron Rodgers struggled this year was because he didn't have any chemistry with his young receivers in Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. That was the biggest reason why Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers struggled majority of the season before they had that late season surge to try to get into the playoffs. But by then, it was too little, too late. Last year, the Kansas City Chiefs, they traded away Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. And everyone was talking about how is Patrick Mahomes going to perform now without having one of the best receivers in the NFL in Tyreek Hill. And Patrick Mahomes, before training camp, he got his receivers together and he built up chemistry with the receivers that the Chiefs had already on their team. So he was dedicated before the season even started. Unlike Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't attend OTAs. Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up until training camp begins. And if you're Aaron Rodgers and you know that you just lost the best receiver in the NFL in Devontae Adams, you would think, knowing that you have these rookie receivers in Watson, in Dobbs, in Toure, you would think Aaron Rodgers would make an effort in the offseason to go and build up chemistry with his young receiving core. But instead, Aaron Rodgers wants to go on the Pat McAfee show weekly and talk about different things on the show. He wants to go out to California and he wants to go on darkness retreats. And I'm all for meditation. I'm all for people being able to have counseling and therapy and, do whatever you need to do to help you be better as a person. Do whatever you need to do. I'm all for it. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, if you are getting paid $150 million over the next 3 years, $50 million per season, and you want to get back to another Super Bowl and win your second Super Bowl in your career, you have to go and develop chemistry with your young receiving core in the off season. You can't just show up at training camp in August and expect to produce at a high level. And then when the season starts, you want to talk about cutting guys' reps and saying some guys shouldn't play, but yet you're not fully committed as a quarterback to help your football team and your young receivers who are rookies who have tremendous talent. Make no mistake about it. Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs, they have great talent. I believe they can be a great tandem at the receiver position the same way Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle is in Miami. The same way Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are in Cincinnati. That's the same thing that Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs could be for the Green Bay Packers. But they need their Hall of Fame quarterback to be committed in the offseason and develop chemistry so the offense can flow at an all-time high level. The reason why the Packers struggled in the early part of the season, all the way through the middle of the season, is because they did not have the chemistry necessary for the offense to flow at an all-time high level. That was the biggest reason why the Packers struggled this year. We know with their running game, with Aaron Jones, with A.J. Dillon, they have a great running back tandem in the backfield. They can run the football with the likes of the best in the NFL. But the reason why the passing attack was mediocre at best was because Aaron Rodgers didn't have the chemistry that he needed to have with his young receivers. And then he used to get frustrated in games. And I'm like, man, stop it. Stop it. And then he wanted to he wanted to blame everyone else but himself. And I got tired of that. That's the number one reason why I'm at a breaking point and I'm okay with the Packers moving on from Aaron Rodgers. Another reason why I'm okay with the Packers moving on from Aaron Rodgers is because in the last 3 seasons, Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field has come up small when the lights were at its brightest and the Packers needed Aaron Rodgers to be great. Let's go back to the 2020 NFC Championship game, shall we? This is Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter in the final game in the last 3 seasons. 2020 NFC Championship game at Lambeau against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. A game in which Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in that game. Fourth quarter, Aaron Rodgers, he goes 4 of 11 passing, 54 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Passer rating was 52.8. Let's go to the 2021 divisional round of the playoffs. This time it was against Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Packers were the number 1 seed in the NFC that year. Aaron Rodgers goes 4 of 7, 17 passing yards, passer rating 62.2. This is in the fourth quarter at Lambeau Field. And remember, in that game, defensively, the Packers did not give up a single touchdown. Only touchdown that the 49ers had in that game was on a special teams play. Let's go to this previous year. This is week 18 against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Fourth quarter of this game, Aaron Rodgers goes 2 of 6 passing, 12 passing yards, 1 interception. His passer rating was 2.8. So the second main reason why I'm okay with the Packers moving on from Aaron Rodgers is because in big moments, Aaron Rodgers does not live up to the hype, and he folds in the biggest moments. For a while, I tried to deny critics of Aaron Rodgers who said he doesn't play well in big games. I denied it for years because I was a supporter of the Packers and a supporter of Aaron Rodgers. But I cannot continue to deny the facts that continue to come out. So the man is getting paid $50 million per season. This year, I think he's going to get paid $60 million, though. But he signed a $150 million deal over 3 years in the offseason last year. So he's getting paid all this money. He's not committed in the offseason, and he does not show up in the biggest moments. And he's also a diva. Aaron Rodgers has become more trouble than he's worth. And I believe that the perfect time for the Packers to cut ties with Aaron Rodgers is right now. Let's see what Jordan Love's got. Let's see what Jordan Love's got. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's ready to step in and take on the responsibility of being the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers and build that chemistry up with Romeo Doubs, with Christian Watson, with Aaron Jones, and with A.J. Dillon. This is the time to move on from Aaron Rodgers because it's just not worth it anymore. It's not worth it. He's more trouble than he's worth. And I love him as a quarterback. He's the greatest quarterback in Packers history. He's a top 5 quarterback of all time, if you ask me. But he's become more trouble than he's worth. He's a diva. He doesn't play well in big games. Not committed in the offseason. So as a Packers fan, I've reached my breaking point with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm tired of this toxic relationship that Aaron Rodgers has with him in the front office. It's toxic. It's toxic. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports.